Welcome everyone. Welcome to this analysis of the GK section in AILET examination, which was conducted today morning. I hope the audio and video is. Coming to you clean. All right. Okay, so let us look at how was the GK section in AILET 2022, because the exam was conducted within a gap of 1 week after Clat. So it is quite inevitable. The comparisons between the GK section in two papers will be inevitable. As a sigh of relief, I would say that after having looked at the GK section of Clat this year, this particular GK section in AILET examination came across as quite well structured. The questions were of good quality. And in fact, as the Surabhi ma'am has mentioned in her analysis before this one, the questions, very rarely the questions were direct, and a lot of questions, in fact, asked you about the analytical aspects of the current events, right? Another thing that struck me was that some of the questions in this GK section were the context or the backgrounds of the recent events. Right, I'll show you that which are those questions. But my first impression about the GK section in AILET this year is that the section was, according to me, the section was moderate to tough. So I would rate this section as moderate to tough, which means the AILET has lived up to its expectation of having a comparatively tougher GK section over Clat. So let us look at some of the questions and what was their context. So first of all, there were 30 questions as was mentioned in the paper pattern, out of which 22 questions were current affairs, while rest 8 can be called as the questions based on static events. For example, questions like the Revolt of 1857. Then there was a question on Satyajit Ray and his movies. Right. There was this another question on 6-dot system, which is a part of Braille system of writing for visually impaired, and so on. So there were 8 questions which were static, and 22 questions can be termed as current affairs. Overall level of difficulty of the section, as I mentioned earlier, can be termed as moderate to tough. Moderate to tough. We'll come to the good score, good attempts at the end of the session. First of all, let us look at the questions. All right. So the paper that I had the paper that I received from a student had questions in this particular sequence. So for me, the 51st question was about Spidey. Spidey is a fixture at protest against the military regime in which country? All right. So answer to this question was, just give me 1 second. Yeah. So answer to this question was Sudan. Right. This was a current affairs question, because Sudan has recently underwent coups. In November last year, there was a military coup in Sudan, and as a follow-up of that, in May 2022, the current leader, Mr. Hambuk, has been replaced from the power. So there are widespread public protests in Sudan against the military rule, and Spidey has become a symbol of resistance in Sudan. So first question answer was C. And I would rate this as a difficult question. I would rate it as a difficult question. Followed by question based on Barbados. Correct. So in Barbados, this is a question from November last year, because in November last year, there was a swearing in ceremony and the handing over ceremony in which British Queen was replaced from the position of head of the state by the next or the new president in Barbados. All right. So question is a current affair question from November last year, and the question is about what is the situation in Barbados? What is the change that has been introduced in Barbados? Now, first 2 options are quite close, right? So first says that Barbados became a republic but will remain as a part of Commonwealth of Nations. And second says that Barbados has become a republic but it will get out of Commonwealth. So correct answer to this question is option number A. Barbados has decided to become a republic, which means Queen of England will be replaced as the head of the state in Barbados, but Barbados simultaneously has decided to stay as a part of Commonwealth of Nations. So while this was a difficult question according to my analysis, question number 52, I would rate it as moderate difficulty question. Not very difficult, not very easy, but the choices were so that it can confuse a student who has not read this topic well enough. 53rd, I would rate as a very easy question. This is a very easy question. This is Quad, and correct answer is Canada. So this one is easy. All right, we have already done a complete YouTube session on Quad. In fact, I've done that session twice. So 53 should be a very easy question. Followed by question number 54, which is on cryptocurrency cruise ship. Now, once again, this is a slightly, I would rate it as difficult question, because this question, the background or the context of this question is about a ship which was launched in 2020. So in 2020, a ship was launched by 3 cryptocurrency enthusiasts. So idea was that they will set up a community of crypto investors or crypto lovers, and that community will live in ocean outside the jurisdiction of any country. So idea was to create a separate island of the crypto investors or the crypto lovers or the crypto enthusiasts. So with that background, so idea was that in that particular ship, the apartments will be loaned. It will be leased to the people by on the basis of rent paid in Bitcoins. Right. So it was a utopian idea. It was an idealistic idea, but this idea flopped. Because after 2020, in 2020-21, nobody came forward to live in that ship, thanks to COVID pandemic. And ultimately, that ship was auctioned off. Question was difficult. The correct answer is Satoshi. The name of the ship was Satoshi. And I hope you are able to understand that this name is a tribute to Satoshi Nakamoto, who was the founder of cryptocurrency, who was the founder of Bitcoin. So this was a difficult question. Followed by a question on Canada's ban on Huawei and ZTE from the 5G network in Canada. Now, I would rate even this question as tough. Why? See, we know that 5G auction and Chinese company being targeted for their very poor record of privacy has been in news for quite some time, but this is a specifically analytical question, because this question is asking the reason behind Canada's ban on Huawei and ZTE. And answer to this is option number A, because before Canada, even countries like US, UK, Australia, and New Zealand, they have also imposed a ban on Chinese company from participating in the 5G network, 5G rollout in the respective countries. And if you look at these 4 countries plus Canada, that's the 5-eye network. This is the 5 eyes network. All right. So I remember that I made a mention of 5 eyes network in my recent video on FATF. So I did a YouTube video on FATF just last week. And in that I mentioned, in fact, I gave students this assignment to do a Google search about 5 eyes. Those who had done that would be able to answer this particular question. Okay, so I would rate it as a difficult question. Question number 56. This is a question on National Commission for Backward Classes, NCBC. All right. This, according to me, is a moderately difficult question. Not easy, not difficult. The question was moderate, but doable. What is the context of this particular news? So in March this year, Supreme Court has rejected the OBC reservation in the local body elections in Maharashtra. Right? But in a similar but different case, In May 2022, Supreme Court allowed OBC reservation in local body elections in Madhya Pradesh. So the background of this question was set up by two differing judgments by Supreme Court, one in March 2022, another in May 2022, and both the judgments were related to the OBC reservation in local body elections. So it was expected that a question on OBC reservation can come in examination. So this is why I'm saying that this question was expected. Moderate मैं इसको इसलिए बोल रहा हूं because the choices given are narrow. 101, 102, 103, and 104. And out of these, the correct answer is Constitutional Amendment number 102 is the correct answer. Next question is a particularly confusing question. All right. This is about Durand line. So in this GK section, there are two questions which are doubtful. One is this one. Another one I'll mention another one later on. But question number 57 is about Durand line. Now, ideally speaking, the answer to this question should be none. Answer to this question should be none. Why? Because Durand line initially was the border between India and Afghanistan. It was initially the border between India and Afghanistan. And of course, we are talking about a period pre-independence when there was no Pakistan, right? So before 1947, Durand line was the border between India and Afghanistan. But in current scenario, Durand line is the border between Pakistan and Afghanistan. Pakistan and Afghanistan. And because there is no choice by Pakistan and Afghanistan, so this is why I think the correct answer to this question should be none. The correct answer to this question should be none. Now, it will be interesting to see what does NLU Delhi considers the correct answer to this question. If they consider A as the correct answer, that I think technically would be wrong, because the correct answer to this question should be none. Durand line at present, originally it was a border between India and Afghanistan, but currently it is a border between India and Pakistan and Afghanistan. Correct? So this is a static GK question. And this one was difficult. Difficult because there were two confusing choices, A and D. All right. Question number 58 is about Artificial Intelligence Readiness Index published by Oxford Insight. This index was released in November 2021. And correct answer to this question is India's rank is 51st. Now, it is interesting to see here, and it is particularly very, very insightful for the future AILET aspirants to notice that despite the release of many other important and significant indices and rankings in 2021 and 22, like Hunger Index, Democracy Index, Happiness Index, Press Freedom Index, and so on, despite so many different indicators and rankings, NLU Delhi, AILET chose to ask a question about a slightly lesser known ranking, which was from November 2021. Correct? So this answer to this question is 51. I'm rating this as moderate. All right. So this was the first set of questions. Moving on. Okay. Moving on. Question number 59 is about the world's first artificial intelligence ship. Right. Now, ये जो ship है, this ship, correct answer to this question is Mayflower 400. Once again, this is a tough question. This is a difficult question. All right. But इसके भी अगर मैं context की बात करूं, if I tell you that why was this particular question asked? So in May 2022, Mayflower 400 made a journey from Canada to, made a journey from UK to Canada. So it made a journey from UK to Canada, which means it crossed Atlantic Ocean. So this was approximately a 4,000 kilometer journey across Atlantic Ocean, which started in April. The journey started on 29th of April, concluded in May, right? So in that sense, this was a current event. And Mayflower के बाद ये जो 400 word लिखा हुआ है, this 400 is basically the year or the gap between an initial Mayflower ship which sailed on the same route 400 years ago in 1622. So this Mayflower 400 is a tribute to another ship which sailed on the same route 400 years ago from UK to Canada, right? So उसको tribute देने के लिए इसका नाम Mayflower 400 है, but the difference is that this is a the ship is completely managed by artificial intelligence with zero human involvement. All right. So after that cryptocurrency wala question, now this artificial intelligence wala question gives you an indication about NLU Delhi's love for subjects or topics related to technology, right? Future AILET aspirants, keep this in mind. Okay, question number 60, I would rate it easy. हालांकि ये भी थोड़ा सा पुराना क्वेश्चन है because this is a news from September 2021. So current affairs है, थोड़े से पुराने current affairs हैं and comparatively easy question है because the first emergency lending facility on a national highway was in Barmer, Rajasthan. So correct answer is D. 59 का correct answer was B. 61, once again, easy question, current affair question, because Desmond Tutu, the Nobel Prize winning human rights activist from South Africa, he passed away in December last year. And I remember very, very clearly that while I conducted my GK marathon lecture for December 2021, we had a detailed discussion about Desmond Tutu, right? Even if someone who has not attended that lecture, इस क्वेश्चन को कॉमन सेंस से सॉल्व करना पॉसिबल था बिकॉज लुक एट ऑप्शन नंबर डी. अगर आपको डेस्मंड टूटू के बारे में ज्यादा कुछ नहीं भी पता है तो भी आप ये गेस कर सकते हैं दैट ही वुड नॉट हैव जस्टिफाइड डिस्क्रिमिनेशन अगेंस्ट होमोसेक्सुअल्स. सो करेक्ट आंसर टू दिस क्वेश्चन इज 61. राइट. Question number 10 is about the revolt of 1857. This is one question that I would rate as static. And answer to this question is Chiranjeet Lal. Tough question, difficult question. All right. Question number 63. Buddha and his Dhamma or Buddha and his Gospel is a book written by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. Once again, a difficult question. And looking at these two questions in tandem, 62 and 63 को अगर मैं एक साथ देखूं, तो this is purely a guess. All right. This is a pure guess that looks like the paper setter was influenced by the fact that it is Dr. Ambedkar's anniversary in April. His birth anniversary falls in April. And on 10th of May was the anniversary of Revolt of 1857. So looks like this paper was set sometime in April, May. Looks like this paper was set up sometime around 15th of May. And this is why the news that were there in the newspaper at that time were at the top of the mind of the examiner, and hence these two questions. Correct? But once again, this is a pure guess. Don't make any conclusions about this. All right. This is a question followed by the murder and assassination of Shireen Abu Alayk, the Al Jazeera reporter who was killed by Israeli Defense Forces in May 2022. Once again, current affair question, easy question. Correct answer is Qatar. Right? Al Jazeera is sponsored by the government of Qatar, and probably you guys know that because of this, Saudi Arab and Qatar had very strained relationship. ठीक है? 2017 में सऊदी अरब ने कतर के ऊपर एक बैन भी लगा दिया था, हालांकि उस बैन को भी रिवोक कर दिया है, बट Al Jazeera is sponsored by the government of Qatar. All right, question number 65 is about another important and expected theme, India's historic victory in Thomas Cup Badminton Championship. Correct answer is Indonesia, and I would rate this question as easy. Correct. मैंने beginning में आपको बोला था, I mentioned it in the beginning that in lot of questions the contextual information has been asked. So when Indian men team won the Thomas Cup Badminton Championship in May, there was another question in this paper about Uber Cup, right? Which is a comparable tournament but for women. So इस paper में आगे एक question है that who was the winner of Uber Cup 2022? And the correct answer to that question would be South Korea. Moving on, let us look at the rest 15 questions. All right. Supreme Court's decision to cancel reservation for Vanyar community in Tamil Nadu. Once again, if I remember correctly, this is a news from May 2022. So what happened is that in March 2022, Madras High Court declined giving this reservation to Vanyar community, and then Supreme Court upheld that decision. But I would rate this question as difficult. Expected question tha, but difficult question tha, because look at the choices made. This is the speciality of AILET. Look at the choices made. There is all the possibility for a student who is not thorough with the subject, who is not thorough with this particular topic, to get confused between the four choices. Correct? Especially to get confused between the A, B, and C choices. Right? So correct answer to this question is option number D. Supreme Court has rejected this reservation for being violative of Article 14, 15, and 16 of the Constitution. All right. Question number 67 is that question I was just mentioning about the Uber Cup Badminton Championship. The winner of this tournament is South Korea. Moderate question. इसको मैं डिफिकल्ट क्वेश्चन की फॉर्म में रेट करता, बट बिकॉज थॉमस कप में इंडिया की विक्ट्री हुई थी, सो स्मार्ट स्टूडेंट्स जो थे उन्होंने थॉमस कप के साथ साथ उबर कप के बारे में पढ़ लिया होगा. दिस इज व्हाई आई एम राइटिंग इट एज moderately difficult question. Question number 68, another question based on sports, but an easy question. Is anyone who has written this statement carefully would not have confused Neeraj Chopra, which is the correct answer, with Abhinav Bindra, who is the first gold medal winner from India in Olympics, but not in athletics, right? So question number 68's correct answer is Neeraj Chopra. All right, look at this question. Question number 69, paper being conducted on 26th of June, and it is asking about an event which took place on 4th of June, right? So a very recent event, but an easy question. Correct answer is Turkey. Turkey has changed its name to Turkey. So easy question, but a very recent one. Question number 70 is once again about another index. Climate Change Performance Index. India's rank is 7th. Okay? Expected, therefore easy. All right, question number 71. US FDA has imposed a restriction. Guys, please remember this is restriction, not a ban. Which means the medicine is still available. हालांकि इसका use जो है उसको discourage किया गया है. क्यों discourage किया गया है? Because Johnson and Johnson's medicine, which is named as Janssen, it has the possibility of causing blood clots in some of the patients. So correct answer is C. All right. This was also a moderately difficult question. Question number 72 is a tough question, and I told you that there is a doubt about two questions in this GK section. One, the first question was the Durand line question. This is the second such question, जिसमें मेरे हिसाब से there is some possibility of ambiguity. Because if you look at 72, the question is asking about which of the following is not true about Pulitzer Prize. Now, Pulitzer is a prize awarded for music. This is true. Pulitzer is not awarded in fiction. This is false, because Pulitzer is also awarded for fiction. Okay? In fact, the winner of this year's Pulitzer Prize has been given to a book titled as The Netanyahus. This book is the winner of this year's Pulitzer Prize for fiction. So this statement is wrong, which means that ideally B should be the correct answer. But then C is also incorrect, because Pulitzer Prize seat of administration is Columbia University, New York. Right? So I don't know how NLU Delhi is going to rate this question, but for me, the correct answer, for me, this is an ambiguous question. While preparing the answer key, I have mentioned B as the correct answer, because we have to give up the incorrect information. We have to select the option which is incorrect related to Pulitzer Prize, and option number B is definitely incorrect. Right? Rest we will see when the official answer keys get released. Okay, but this is a tough question. Pulitzer Prize के बारे में question था. Okay, इसके बारे में भी आपको पता चल रहा होगा that Pulitzer Prize question was asked because in May 2022, 4 Indians were declared as the winners of Pulitzer Prize in photojournalism category. So there was a question on Pulitzer Prize expected, but this one was very tough. Similarly related to 73. So as Surbhi ma'am has also told in her analysis, and as I have also mentioned at the beginning of this lecture, that some of the questions were indirect. Indirect in the sense that they were questions related to the latest developments, but not the direct question. For example, look at question number 73. Now, in May 2022, which means last month, Ketanji Jackson was appointed as the first Black woman as the judge in US Supreme Court. Right? She was appointed as the first Black woman judge in US Supreme Court, but the question was not about her. Question was not about the first Black woman judge in the US Supreme Court. In fact, the question was about first woman judge in US Supreme Court. Right? Which makes the correct answer of this question as Sandra Connor. Sandra Connor was appointed as an associate judge in US Supreme Court in 1981. Right? So you see what NLU Delhi is doing here? You see what AILET is doing here? They're asking a question related to a latest event, but not a direct question. Right? Making this as a tough question. All right. And for the last 7 questions in this section, let us look at those quickly. Question number 74, I would rate it as a moderately difficult question. Because while even if you are aware about what is 6-dot system, you can with some smartness guess that it is a system of representing alphabets in Braille. So Braille is a system of writing for visually impaired, and in Braille, the visually impaired people, they read or they sense the alphabet by touching those raised dots. So correct answer is C. Moderately difficult question, a static GK question. Correct. Question number 75, international affairs, global affairs. British-Iranian dual citizen Nazanin Zaghari Redcliffe. She was released from jail in May this year, right? Once again, a tough question because look at the choices, how narrow are those? It's a difficult question because unless you are absolutely precisely aware about the episode of Nazanin Zaghari Redcliffe, you cannot answer this question because all of them looks like probable answers. Correct answer to this question is she was arrested on the charges of espionage. Okay? So correct answer to this question is 76. Once again, let us look at question number 76 and let us look at the trick played by AILET here. The question is about Timor-Leste, which is called as the East Timor. Right? And the question is, East Timor became independent in 2002 from which European country, which European colonial power? So while the correct answer to this question is C, Portugal, and while some of the experts will rate this as a static GK question because this is about something which happened in 2002. But I will look at the context of this question and I will say that this is actually a current affairs question. Why am I saying so? Because looks like examiner saw the event that took place on 20th of May 2022, which is the Independence Day celebration of East Timor. And on the in his Independence Day speech this year, the president of East Timor has pledged a closer ties with China, right? Which means that this is the part of China's diplomatic charm offensive or diplomatic charm strategy, which China is employing in, with a lot of small island countries in Pacific, like Solomon Island and East Timor. So this is the context because of this question was asked. Tough question, difficult question. All right. Okay. All right. 77. Once again, another example of an indirect question related to Roe versus Wade. Right? Roe versus Wade से related है because the correct answer to this question is she died of anti-abortion laws in Ireland. Correct? 78 is a static GK question. Neil Giri's का question है. I would rate it as moderate because the correct answer is D. guess किया जा सकता है. Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Kerala is the correct answer. So it's a moderately difficult question. Not very tough, not very easy, moderate difficulty. Question number 79. Wow. This is one question which changed my opinion about this paper. And this is a question which only a true cinema lover, a true Satyajit Ray lover would be able to answer. Because even if you are not aware about Satyajit Ray and his filmography, I think some of you would be aware that Pyasa is a masterpiece by Guru Dutt, not by Satyajit Ray. So this is the correct answer, Pyasa. But how do I rate this question? I would rate it as an interesting question. I would rate this as a question which is the USP of NLU Delhi. I would rate this as the reason, I would rate questions like this as the reason because of which NLU Delhi does not come under the umbrella of Clat. Because this is the kind of questions NLU Delhi want to set up in its entrance examination. And for the last question, look at another question which should be doable for anyone who is slightly aware about India's culture, India's society, and India's events. Koli people. Correct answer to this question is A. And the context of this question is that the outgoing president of India, Shri Ramnath Kovind, he belongs to this community. He belongs to a small Koli community population living in UP. So look at what NLU Delhi is doing there. They're asking about the recent events, but they are asking very, very indirect and ambiguous questions related to that. Idea is to check that who has the thorough and insightful knowledge about the recent events. Idea is to check the students who are really, really into reading newspapers thoroughly. So my final analysis of this section is that out of 30 questions, I would rate at least 14 questions as really very tough. So I'm rating 15 to 17 as good attempts. And anyone who has scored more than 12 in the GK section of AILET this year, I would rate this as a very, very good attempt. Correct? So guys, this is my analysis of this section. I would love to see your opinions and your observations about this paper. Do leave them in the comment box. I'll come back and check all of those. And those who have written AILET this year, best of luck for your results. Those who will write AILET next year, there are some important lessons and there are some important lessons and insights from this section, which I mentioned in between, which I'll keep on mentioning in the future such lectures. So see you again. Bye-bye. Take care.